Thank you for having me and at your MLS Mondays. It's so awesome to be here to speak with you all. So yeah, my name's Caitlin Wolf. I'm on the industry development team here at Homes.com. I've been with Homes.com for about 11 years, and we've been through a bit of a transition. I came from the Homes.com side, but about 4 years ago, we were acquired by CoStar along with HomeSnap. So I don't know if you're all familiar with HomeSnap, but that was a tool that was used, agents could use to help really collaborate with their clients. So we've come a long way since that acquisition, and that's what I want to talk to you all about today because there's a lot of tools that are available to you all, and everything I talk about today, it's available to you at no cost. It's at your fingertips right now. So we just want to get you excited and want you to start using that and be aware of, who Homes.com is, what the leads are that are being sent to you from Homes.com, how you can really kind of expand your exposure on our site. So we're going to go through all of that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now and hope this works the way I want it to. Let's see here. Okay. Now let me actually flip this real quick. One sec. Sorry about this. Okay, one second. Of course, these always give us a little bit of an issue, right? The sharing of the screen. One second.
Share works. We just see your notes.
You can see me?
Yeah, I said the screen share originally worked. We just saw the notes. So
Okay, perfect. Let's try this way. Now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So again, I want to talk to you a little bit about who we are first, so you can understand a little bit more about Homes.com and who the leads are that are being sent to you, who's our traffic audience, and then we'll dive into the actual tools that are available to you. And as Joanna mentioned, it's not exactly in your system right now, but it's something you can put on your phone and have it available to you and be ready to go as you start collaborating and working with your clients. So Homes.com, again, I've come from the Homes.com world, and it's been a long time coming. We're really working to expose who our brand is and really get our name out there. So you might be familiar, we've recently launched our marketing campaign. So maybe you've seen some of our commercials play. These are usually played during prime time, television. But this is a huge investment for us that we've made. And so to give you a little background too, so Homes.com, CoStar, we're owned by CoStar. CoStar also has the multifamily space with Apartments.com. So that's kind of our sister company. And then we have the commercial space with LoopNet. So what's great in the residential space for us is that we have these great playbooks to follow. So we've seen what's worked and what hasn't worked. And we're kind of taking the same things that worked in our other marketplaces and doing the same thing in residential. So for example, Apartments.com is a great one to look at. When Apartments.com was acquired by CoStar, it was at the very bottom. It was below all of the big competitors. So the first thing that was done was really to invest in the website and clean up the site, make sure it has a great content, the data's there, all of that. And then the next big step was to invest in the marketing campaign. So I'm sure you've seen those Apartments.com commercials everywhere, right? So we're kind of doing the same thing in the residential space that we did for Apartments.com. So that was our big kickoff. It was last Super Bowl, last January, that we kicked off these commercials. And we're just continuing to have these play during that primetime television to really get that brand recognition. And, a lot about this, as you can see, it's a big investment for us. The multifamily space is one thing, but we know the residential space, the audience is a lot bigger. So we've invested more money into the residential space to really get that name out there. And I talk about this stuff, and I really want to bring it back to you all because we're really trying to get the name out there and get consumers to the site, but we want to drive them to this site that helps you generate more business. So we'll talk about that a little bit more today. So I want you all to know that this is really something that's going to benefit all of you in the end, but we are working to, again, get that brand recognition, that name out through these commercials. And again, these are played during primetime television. We actually just launched kind of our new phase of commercials. So you're going to start to see some new ones. If you've kind of gotten sick of the other ones that we're playing, we're launching kind of a new phase here. So as I mentioned, the big thing here is brand recognition, that brand awareness. So we've seen a huge increase in this for us since the launch of our commercials. So This is just showing that unaided brand awareness. So what that is if our team were to pick up the phone and call a consumer and just say, when you think of a real estate portal, what do you think of? And if we look at back in September of 2023, only 4% would think of homes.com. They would think of the other big portals out there. Now, if we fast forward to June of 2024, we've increased that and we're now at 27% of these anonymous consumers are saying homes.com. So that's exactly what we want to hear. Again, we just really want to get the brand recognition out so that they know who homes.com is and they know it's a place to come to search for homes and search for agents. So overall, we've seen a big increase in our traffic, not just because of our media campaign. We've also done other things on the site, as I mentioned, like what we did with apartments.com. We first went in there and really cleaned up the site. We kind of removed all additional advertising to make it very specific so that when a consumer goes onto the site and they look at a listing, they're seeing a listing agent, and that's the only person that they're going to see. So cleaning up all that additional advertising, making sure all of the content that is there, some unique, great content that we know consumers are looking for. And then the data, making sure all the data is there when they go to that listing, they're seeing all of that listing data because we're pulling that directly from your MLS. So we've seen a huge increase in traffic, and it's kind of a result of all of those things that we're doing. And the biggest thing is what we're trying to fix here is something that we feel has been broken for a long time with the online world, with these residential websites, is that we feel that there's something that has been broken. For one thing, you work really hard to get those listings. And when you get those listings, you want to put your name on that listing. Just like if we were out in the field, you get that listing and you're really excited to put that yard sign out in front of your listing. If we think about what happens in the online world, then it would look like something similar to, okay, you get that listing, you get that yard sign, and then all these other people come and put their yard signs in front of that listing as well. So we don't want that to happen on the online world. We want it to be very clear for who that listing agent is, because that's the most knowledgeable person about that listing. We want to make that clear to the consumer as well, so that they know when they click on to call that person, that's the listing agent, because oftentimes consumers don't know who they're talking to, right? So really working to fix that. We also feel that there's different models out there that sometimes you have to pay to play to get some great leads, and we want to have a model that benefits everybody. So you don't have to pay to get it, but you're going to get those leads off of your listings no matter what. We're not going to take a piece of your commission. We don't have any type of referral model, but it's something that's going to be sent to you, and you can respond to that lead, as soon as possible. And I apologize, I'm getting off of a little cold. So I have 2 young kids at home, and you know how that goes this time of year. It's nonstop sicknesses. So I'm going to power through this, but I apologize if I have to grab a sip of water in between. So again, we really want to create a model that benefits everybody. So on homes.com, you can, know that when you get that lead off of your listing, that's why you're getting that lead, that when you accept that lead, there's not going to be any fee kind of associated to that. And we want to make it, clear to the consumer that who that listing agent is. And I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. But we want to just make sure you understand these things, that you know who homes.com is and who these leads are that are being sent to you. So for example, I'm a consumer. I go on to homes.com and I look at a listing. When I go to that listing detail page, I'm seeing one agent only, and that is the listing agent. So I'm seeing Kevin here, promptly displayed, clear communication for who Kevin is. It says right under that he's a listing agent. So as a consumer, I know that. So I can click, to reach out to Kevin, and that lead's going to go directly to Kevin. So what the thing with our site too is that it's not going to go, if Kevin doesn't respond in a hour or two, it's not going to go to somebody else. It's going to stay with Kevin. So that's another reason we want to talk about this and why it's a great opportunity to be in front of you all today, so that when you get those leads, we want you to respond to them, as soon as possible, because obviously we've all been there before on the consumer side. When we don't get a response, we're going to go somewhere else to get it, right? So we want to make sure that, these consumers are getting responded to when they reach out with these inquiries. So that's going to stay with Kevin, and that's his lead. It's your listing, your lead. We want to protect that side of this part, is that you're listing your lead. But then there's the other side too. So okay, so what happens when I have a client that I'm working with, and that's my client? So we're going to protect that side of the business as well. So that's going to switch us over to your buyer, your business. So in our world on homes.com, once you're bonded with your client, and you're bonded to them, they've accepted the invitation or you've accepted the invitation if they reached out to you, you're now bonded. So now for your client, every time they go on homes.com, instead of the listing agent that they saw before, now that they're bonded to you, they're seeing your information. So in this example here, Andy is my agent. We are bonded. So every listing that I look at, I'm seeing Andy here because he's my agent. So any question I have about this listing, or if I want to, say, let's go check this out or anything, all my communication is going directly to Andy. So we still have places throughout the page where we're still advertising who the listing agent is, but I know that Andy is my agent, so that's who I'm talking to and communicating with. So we want to, again, protect both sides of the business where you're listing your lead until you're bonded with your client, then we're your buyer, your business. A question that comes up often is, what if they no longer want to work with each other? So maybe you don't want to work with that client anymore, or the client doesn't want to work with the agent. There is a button in there that you can unbond, or our divorce button, if you will. So it does remove them, and then it goes back to just seeing the listing agent every listing that they look at. So if you haven't been on homes.com in a while, I would, encourage you to go on and kind of take a look at these listing detail pages just to get familiar with how that information is being displayed. But just know that we are protecting both sides of that business for you. Another thing that we've seen happen quite a bit is that agents are going online, and this is something that's available to you all in our tools that we'll walk through later today. But you can go on and you can share your listing on social media. For example, X here, you can just easily click and share your listing on X. And we're seeing a lot of agents do this without us even really talking about it before. But they're doing it because they know they can share their listing, and they're driving consumers back to a site where their lead is protected. That lead is going right back to them. So we're seeing that happen. Here are some examples of just agents going in, sharing their listing on X, and then they're driving traffic back to a site where they know if they fill out the form, that's going to go right back to that agent. So we're seeing that happen a lot, and I'll show you guys today how you can do that just to get some more exposure on your listings. So then I've also mentioned content. So this is another big thing for us, is that really wanted to work to create content that we know consumers need. And if you've seen some of our commercials, you may be familiar. Our tagline is typically that homes.com, we do the homework for you. And that's because of our content that we have. So we know that when a consumer goes onto homes.com, they are really just kind of beginning this experience. They're kind of just starting the process to look for a home. And what they're looking for is lifestyle, right? They're not just diving right into looking at a listing, but they're starting to get a feel for lifestyle, where they want to be located. What are the schools like? What's the neighborhood like? And that's where they really lean on their agent too, as that neighborhood expert, to give them this information. And then they trickle down into finding a home that fits all of their kind of criteria of the lifestyle they're looking for. So we've really invested a lot of time and money into our content pages, our neighborhood and school pages. So neighborhoods, for example, we have over 40,000 neighborhood pages on homes.com. Of those 40,000 neighborhoods, we have videos for those neighborhood pages. So when you go and you can search a neighborhood, when you get to that neighborhood, we have a full overview of what that neighborhood has to offer. And then the first picture typically is the video. So you can click into that, and it plays a video of that neighborhood. So it kind of walks you through what it would actually be like to live in that neighborhood, what parks are nearby, what, restaurants are in the area. And these neighborhoods, again, if you haven't taken the time to see your neighborhood pages, you can go on homes.com later today and search your neighborhood and find your neighborhood page. But this is a really great way, again, to show that lifestyle to these agents or to these consumers who are looking at things online. It really kind of gives them the full feel of what it'd be like to live there. But for you, the best thing here is that, again, we want our agents to leverage this content that we've created. So you know what your clients are looking for, right? You know what kind of neighborhood they want to be in. So you can find the neighborhood for them and share these videos with them. And you're just even showing yourself even more that neighborhood expert. So I'll kind of show you guys later today how you can do that on homes.com. But all this content that we're creating, it's great for the consumers, yes, but we also want the agents to leverage this to share it with their consumers, because I know a lot of times you're searching on their behalf, right? So great neighborhood pages. What's great about this too is that if you see a neighborhood page and it's your neighborhood and you think, oh, they forgot to mention something here, you can let us know. There's a feedback button on there that you can provide us that intel, and we can update the page too to include that. So that's how we got a lot of this content. We had people on the ground creating this for us, but we've kind of even updated these neighborhood pages because of the people who live there, the agents that live there who have told us other things that we should include. So definitely check those out if you haven't done so already. And then the other side is the school pages. So we're actually the only, oh, this is still neighborhoods. I spoke a little bit too far ahead of myself here. So then the school pages. So we're the only portal that pull from both niche and great schools, and we display both reviews. So this again is really important to consumers when they're looking at lifestyle is the schools are that they're looking for. So we're giving even more intel about that school, what kind of reviews it has, ratings, test scores, student to teacher ratio, what they serve at lunch. And we have great reviews from parents and students that attend that school. So it really gives them an in-depth look at that school. And then if they scroll down on the school page, then they can see homes in the area, or if there are some homes that have some open houses, things like that. So this is another side that, again, you can search on their behalf. You know what kind of school they're looking for, send them that school page, and then say, okay, here are some schools or some homes within that school district that we can go take a look at. So another great way to really leverage this content that we're creating for you to use with your clients. So that brings us into Homes Pro. So that's kind of the front-facing side, the homes.com side. And then Homes Pro is the professional tools that you all have access to help collaborate and work with your clients. So the real benefit here is that you and your clients are using the same app, obviously with different logins because you're seeing the professional side and they're seeing the consumer side, but you're downloading the same app and you're working back and forth with each other in real time. So that app is homes.com. And then when you log in and identify yourself as a professional, we're going to walk through how to do this today. It's going to kind of switch your side because you're going to see a little bit more than what the clients see so that you can help them with this whole process. But the benefit, again, is just that you are downloading and using the same app, but you have access to some different MLS data that a client wouldn't need because they don't know what a lot of that means, right? So we're going to walk through that today as the professional side that you can use to work with your clients. But overall, I just want you all to know that we, again, are creating a model that is beneficial to everyone. Keep in mind, it's a your listing, your lead model. So when you get a lead off of homes.com, chances are it's because it was off of your listing and that's going to go directly to you. But then after you're bonded with your clients, we are your buyer, your business. That's your client. So all of communication is going to go to you because that is your client. We don't have any type of referral fees on homes.com. And then we also have a great way for you to, if you don't have any listings, but you want to promote yourself, we have our agent directory, which is a great way to promote yourself on homes.com. It's a tool that a lot of our consumers are using because a lot of times when consumers go onto homes.com, only 80% or about 80% of them are not yet working with a real estate professional. That's a huge chunk, a big opportunity that they're going to be the ones that go onto the agent directory and find an agent to work with. So I'll show you what that looks like today too. And then the Homes Pro tool. So what we're really going to spend a lot of time today is the back end tool, the professional tools. But this is available to all of you at no cost. Again, everything I walk through today is available to you all at no cost that you can utilize and help collaborate and work with your clients. Something that we also launched that we'll talk a little bit about later today is our homes.com membership. Maybe you've also been approached about our memberships before from some of our sales reps. But this is a great tool. It's a way of if you want to expand your exposure on homes.com. So again, everything we talk about today, you have at no cost. But if you want to create more exposure, that's something that we've launched. We launched this feature about the same time we launched our marketing campaign. So again, if you want to get more exposure on your profiles, if you want to get more exposure on your listings, it's all how you want to get more exposure on homes.com. So I'll talk more about this today. If you're interested in it, you can certainly, write your name down and we can follow up with you to give you some more details about it. But it's one of our best products that we've launched at CoStar in the history of CoStar, actually. So we've realized, there was a need for this kind of advertising. It's not that, buy zip codes and get an X amount of number of leads, but it's just really investing in your brand. And so again, we've seen a lot of great feedback from that product launch. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later today, but that's only if you want to get more exposure. So let's jump into the Homes Pro product tool. Again, the main reason I wanted to get in front of you all today and why I'm so happy to be here to talk to you about all of these great free tools you have at your fingertips today. So Homes Pro is going to be the dashboard that you have as the professional. That's why we call it Homes Pro. If you think of professional, the pro side. So again, you're still going to be downloading the same app as as the consumers, but yours is going to look a little bit differently. So let's start from the very beginning of how to start to get the app in the first place. So what you'll do is you'll go to your app store and you'll search homes.com. Homes.com is the app that you're then going to download. As you can see here is what it looks like. You'll download that and then you'll go through the process of registering and setting up your account. So something that we switched a little bit when we first launched it, it was a little bit confusing when you logged in. There wasn't very a clear difference between a consumer and an agent. And a lot of agents were logging in, but setting their accounts up as a consumer. So they weren't seeing all of that great data that they have access to. So we went and we kind of rearranged it to make it a little bit more obvious, if you will. So when you log in, you're going to see register as an agent. So make sure you register as an agent. When you click on that button, it will take you through steps to your agent account. So for the next step, it's going to be to verify your MLS. So when you start doing that, you know you're in the right place, right? Because a consumer wouldn't have to do that. So you're going to verify your MLS, choose the correct MLS. You'll search your name and then you'll go through the steps of verifying your MLS identity. And then once you've gone through that, then you can set up your username and password. So then from now on, every time you'll save, obviously your app will be right on your phone. When you click on homes.com, it'll automatically switch you into the professional side. I think we have about a 27-day login period where you're automatically will be logged in, but then after that 27th day, it'll have you re-log in. And that's just for security purposes to protect your identity. So you'll have to re-authenticate every, 27 days. So just keep that in mind. I know it's always hard when we have to remember a username and password. I'm the worst at that. So maybe just, save it somewhere so that when you have to re-log in, you have all that stuff right in front of you. But you can always click, forgot username or password too, if you need that. But just keep that in mind. And then once you're logged in, we're going to walk you through your dashboard now so that you can see some of the tools you have access to. So I'm showing you what this looks like on a mobile device, but everything I walk through today, you can utilize on a desktop as well. We just know that chances are most of the time when you're in Homes Pro, you're going to probably be out on the field and on your phone. So this works with iPhones, Android, iPad, everything that you might utilize. Homes Pro will work great on that. So over here on the far left, you're seeing the full dashboard. So here I have my clients, my listings, leads, some analytics I can view. We'll walk through that. I can create a CMA in here. I can search my favorites, save searches. I have my account settings, notes, if I need to add some notes about some different conversations. So the first thing I want you all to do today, or when you have a chance to log into Homes Pro, is your profile. Let's go through how to set up your profile because that's what's going to show on the agent directory. As well as if an agent is on the listing or a consumer is on the listing, they click on the agent's name, it's going to take them to their profile. So we really want to make sure all of your information is on your profile. So you all have profiles there today, and we pull those kind of your basic information. We pull it from your MLS. So if you have a photo in there, your photo's already been added, but you can always go in and change that. So here we'll click on, for example, edit agent profile. Next thing is going to be to update your headshot if you'd like, and you can easily do that just by clicking the edit button, change the photo, pull it right from your computer or phone, and save that new headshot. The next section here is going to be the about you, and that's your bio. That's going to tell these consumers who you are. So this is an important step because, again, a lot of consumers they go into homes.com, one, they're not yet working with a real estate professional. And then two, they're going to kind of put you through a little bit of an interview process to figure out who you are. Are you an agent that they want to work with? Are you meeting a lot of their criteria? So we really want to add, some good information to these bios to tell them who we are, just like we would if we were to talk to them face to face in person. So add in a great bio, how long you've been in the business, what you kind of focus on, maybe give some examples of how you helped your past clients, kind of achieve their goals, things that stand out, make yourself unique. This is something you can always come back in and add more to it or remove things. So it's never set in stone. You can always come back in and add more information to your bio. The next thing is going to be your awards and designations. So another great way to just showcase your what you've done, your level of experience. So those are great things to add to kind of set you apart from other agents in your area. Social media links. So if you're active on social media, you can add in your links, and it's another great way for these potential clients to find you on other places. So for example, if you have a Facebook business page that you're very active on, you can add in that link here. And if a consumer clicks on that, it takes them to your Facebook business page, and they're really seeing a whole side of you that might be something that they're very interested in. And they could see, okay, they're actually, active, they're online, they're posting about the market, they're posting about the area. So this is someone that I want to work with. So another great way to just showcase who you are by adding your different social media channels. And then lastly is your experience and expertise. So this is an important piece to add too, because when a consumer goes on to the agent directory and they can search for an agent to work with, and they would obviously narrow it down a few ways to do that. And one of the ways that they can narrow it down is the level of experience they want their agent to have. So for example, they might say, okay, I want my agent to have 5+ years of experience, or I want a newer agent that, knows what some different things about the area. And so maybe I want a 2-year or whatnot. So they can search based off of your experience. So definitely add that in there so that you can show up in those different search filters. And then this next part of the profile is kind of just more of a set and forget. It's just a way that you can receive notifications within the app. So you can always modify your login information. If you want to change your username or password, you can do that. But then down here to set up your notification preferences. So this is everything from every time you get a new lead to every time one of your clients maybe responds to a listing or responds to something that you send them. So how do you want to be notified? I would recommend, especially because this feature might be new to some of you, to go in and just toggle these all on, and just kind of see how that works. If you feel like there's too many notifications coming through on your phone, then you can go back in and maybe turn some things off. But this is a huge thing about collaborating and working with your client, right? So we don't want to miss out on any of that communication. So that's why I would always recommend turning them on, and then you can go back in and kind of decide what maybe you don't need to be notified of right away, but you can do it when you log into the app. So that's what that is going to be for, that setup notification preferences. So that's the profile. So again, after the first thing you're going to want to do is set up your profile. Now let's walk through how you really utilize homes.com as a professional, because obviously consumers utilize it one way, but as a professional, you're going to see it a little bit differently. And when you search for things on your client's behalf. So you're always going to know you're in Homes Pro when it says Homes Pro at the top. So you can see right here, instead of it saying homes.com, it says Homes Pro, because I'm a professional. I've logged into my professional account. So I am in the right place. I'm seeing this as a professional. So a lot of this stuff is going to be very similar to what a consumer sees, but of course we have the universal search bar here. If you scroll down, you're seeing things to our neighborhoods and schools. You can search for a specific neighborhood, search for a specific school. And you can really start diving in and searching on your client's behalf, based off of maybe what they're looking for, the conversations that you've had. We have a lot of great search filters to really narrow it down, because again, how to use that best. So you can come in here and search for your client. Another feature that's available that we actually didn't have for a while, and then we brought back because we got a lot of feedback that agents loved it, but it's our Snap a Home feature. So what you can do, and this is a really great way to kind of show your level of experience to your clients when you're with them, is if you're out in the field walking, they point to a home, and they're like, what about that house? You can pull out your phone and you can take a picture of that home, and it will automatically pull up all of the listing data. So that's something that, will probably surprise your clients, that you have access to that information so quickly. So it's really easy to do. You just snap a home is what we call it. And then when you snap that home, it'll pull up that listing detail page. So again, a really great feature in there that you can use and get that information quickly when your clients have those questions. And then again, the search filters. So we have ways to really narrow down the search filters that you can utilize a little bit more than a consumer would, obviously based off what you know that they're looking for, and really dive into that. So all of this is very easy to, utilize and pull up, and then you can share those with your clients. We have the ability to search off-market properties. So this is sometimes dependent on what we pull in the feed from your MLS, but you have the ability to search those off-market properties. And this is great too, because I mentioned that the benefit to Homes Pro is that you're using the same app that your client's using. So even if you are right next to each other and your client has their phone out, they're on their homes.com app, you have your phone out, you're on your homes.com app, but it's the professional side. And you can really walk them through some of this information because some of this, a client doesn't always know what to do with this information. So you can really articulate it in a way that they can understand a little bit better. So walking them through what this means, what this history is showing here, and walk them through all of that. And now let's kind of walk through what it looks like on a listing detail page. So for example, I'm the professional, I click on a listing and I want to walk you through what you guys are going to see here. So again, it says Homes Pro at the top because I'm the professional. Right here, there's some easy actionable items for you to utilize. You can call or text a listing agent. So that listing agent's always going to be right in front of me as I look through that listing. So at any time I can, reach out to that listing agent and call him, talk to him if I have any questions. I can save this listing as a favorite. I can post it to social media, or I can recommend it to my client. I can easily share it to my client and say, hey, take a look at this one. I think it has some things that you're looking for. So really easy to do that right from the very top here. But as we scroll down that listing detail page, the next thing you're going to see here is add commute to map. So this is great because you might have a conversation with your client and they might say, okay, I want to, no matter where we live, I just want to make sure I can, we'll say bike to work. And so you know that. So from now on, so you're going to go in and add this commute. You're going to say, okay, their transportation method is a bike. Here's the address for where they work. And so now every time you present them with a new listing, it's going to show that commute for them. They're going to say, see, okay, this is only a 15-minute bike ride. This is a 10-minute bike ride. So you're adding that commute for them so that they can see that every time you share them a new listing. So that's a great tool to add in there for you guys because you know what your clients are wanting. Price history, again, something that you can really articulate this information with your clients because you're having access to this price history. So you can view historical photos. Again, some of this is dependent on what we get from the MLS feed, but you can scroll down and see these historical photos and talk through with your clients and say, look at how much this has grown. Look at what, not only the home looks like, but the neighborhood might look a little bit different. There might be more trees, things like that. So you can kind of walk them through those historical photos and talk to them about what that means for them with what it looks like today. The multiple valuation estimate. So if you scroll down that listing detail page, we're actually the only portal that we pull from 4 different resources to get the average. And this is great because it's not just one estimate, but it's also, sometimes these are all over the place. And so for a consumer, what we're really trying to do for the consumer is say, okay, you really should work with a professional because these can be kind of hard to understand, right? Especially when they're all over the place. But it does give a better idea that, again, you can then walk them through what this means, and then you can offer up your own expertise of what you want to do moving forward. But it does pull from 4 different resources and then presents them with that average, which is just kind of helpful for you, but also for the consumer to understand, what this means. Scrolling down more, you have the customizable payment calculator. So you can use that easily in there. Tax, mortgage, and deed history. So this information is available to the consumers when they log into homes.com as well. But again, something that you're going to be able to articulate a little bit more with them when you're looking at the app or when you're searching on their behalf. You can add in some information about that because this is pulling from public records, but you can add some more information to it. And then let's get into the neighborhood and school part, because again, we really want you all to leverage this content that we've used when you're searching for your clients. So your client, we'll start with neighborhoods here. Your client wants a neighborhood that maybe has parks available, that has maybe restaurants that you can walk to. They want to be in the suburbs, but they want to still feel like they have that kind of city vibe and things are going on. So you can go in and find a neighborhood for them for that. So you can go in and search for that neighborhood right from the home screen. You can search for that neighborhood. We have those filters that you can really narrow it down based off of what your clients have maybe mentioned about the neighborhood that they want. And then once you're presented with that neighborhood, you can show them that neighborhood page. So I'm going to go back here, but you can find that neighborhood page and then you can share that with your client. And you can even just find that video and just share that video with your client and say, hey, take a look at this neighborhood. And they can watch that video. And all of this is happening real time back and forth within the app. That's the collaboration that I'm talking about. So when they log into their app, they see that they have a new message from you as their agent. They click on that, they're seeing that video, and it really gives them an idea of what it looks like to live in that neighborhood. And they might say, okay, actually, yeah, that neighborhood looks awesome. And you could say, okay, here are some homes within that area. And here are some homes that are, available for us to look at this weekend or whatnot. So that's where that searching on their behalf, utilizing this content is just going to show you even more as that neighborhood expert. And then same thing with schools. So again, your client might say, okay, I want a school that has a small student to teacher ratio. I want, this, and this. So you can go onto homes.com and you can search for that school for them because you know what they're looking for. We have those search filters to really narrow it down. And then once you find that school, you share that school page with your clients. And then you can say, okay, here's some homes within that school district, or maybe you don't like these homes. This home we'd have to open enroll, but this is only a 10-minute drive. So things like that you can really help them with, helping them find their lifestyle and then finding homes that fit that lifestyle. So a lot of great information they can see on these school pages and neighborhood pages that they might not know how to search for, so you can do that for them. Some of the things that you can do in here too is adding different heat maps. So we have a ton of heat maps available that you can turn on for your clients, but things like average price per square foot, household income, flood risk factor, noise level. Obviously, some things will be more important to your area that maybe not be so important to other areas. So you can really filter those out and turn on the ones that you think would be important to your clients so they can really have that information right then and there when they're looking at those different homes. And then we have this new feature. So this is something that has recently been added, the ability to build a CMA. By no means is this the level of CMA that you have in your MLS, but this is something that that a lot of agents wanted in here because they're already logged into homes.com, and it's just a quick and easy way to create a CMA. So you can build your CMA, very easy to do in here. Search and select your comparables. And a lot of this stuff is auto-filled for you. So if you want to remove something, you certainly can, but we wanted to make it, quick and easy for you. Then you can review that CMA and then share that with your clients. So really easy to do within the app. But again, it's not by no means as robust as the CMA that you have available to you in the MLS. But that's in there. So let's go back to the bonded experience, because I mentioned that, but you might wonder, okay, how does that actually work? How do I get bonded with my clients so that they're my client on homes.com? So what's going to happen is that there has to be an invitation. So either the consumer can go, and there's a few ways that the invitation can happen. One way is the consumer can go on to homes.com and search for, start searching for listings and things like that. And then they're ready to find an agent. They can use the agent directory. They can search for an agent. And then when they find an agent that they want to work with, they can click send invitation. And that would then send you, the agent, an invitation. And you get notified that you have a new lead or a new invitation that you can accept. And then you're bonded. But another way that this happens, and probably the most a way a lot of agents use it today, is to invite their clients in. So you would log into your Homes Pro dashboard, and then you could go in and invite clients, and you would just add in their email address and then send them, and then they would then get that invitation. They would accept that invitation. So then now you are bonded. So again, it has to be either both parties have to accept an invitation for that bonded experience to take place. But then from then on, every time your clients look at a listing on homes.com, they're seeing your information. All the communication that they type is going to go directly to you. You can start viewing their activity on homes.com, so what they're looking for. Another feature that we've recently launched is this co-shopping environment, which to me, I'm like, how did we not have this for so long? Because this is the way that a lot of people are, shop for homes. Is it's not just them, but it's the family, it's the couple that are looking together. So this allows you to create this co-shopping environment where you're bonded to two people. In this example, this husband and wife here, they each have their own individual homes.com account, but they're both bonded to you, the agent, so they can see each other's what each other is looking at. They can see how the agent's responding. When the agent sends recommendations, it's going to go to both. So it really creates that whole co-shopping environment that's available as well. But again, once you're bonded, you can see that client, that insight to the client search activity. So maybe they've said to you, or maybe they haven't mentioned to you that they want a pool, but you notice that every listing that they look at, there's a pool. So you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to start sending them some homes with pools because I think that's important to them, even though they haven't said so, right? So you can kind of view a little insight as to what they're looking at on homes.com. And then, as I mentioned, now I'm looking at it from a consumer point of view. As you can see, it switches to homes.com at the top, showing you that I'm a consumer now. When I look at a listing, I'm bonded with my agent. So now, from now on, every time I look at that listing, that's where Rebecca is showing up because she's my agent. So I can easily call Rebecca, send her a message, and this is all happening in real time, back and forth within the app, that collaboration and that protection of that relationship. So again, this is that dashboard, what it looks like on our phone. We have the clients at the top, so you can click into that. You're going to see all of the clients that you're bonded with. You can go in and add information to each client. You have your listings. You can manage your listings. You have your leads, so manage the leads that are coming through. Maybe you have some new leads you need to accept. Performance analytics, you can actually see how your listings are doing on homes.com, maybe something that you'd want to share with your clients. Track the views, things like that. You can also see your profile analytics, so how your profile is being viewed on homes.com. You can create that CMA easily. You can view favorites, your notes, all the notes you've been taking with your clients, view any saved searches. You can manage your account. And then obviously down at the bottom, you can edit your profile or you can invite clients in to work with you. So this is what that listing analytic looks like. Again, this is something that's really great because it shows you kind of how your listings are doing on homes.com. So this is helpful too because I talked about that homes.com membership, right? And if you do want to create more exposure, maybe you're looking at your listings and thinking, okay, I'm not getting as much visits as I'd like to, or people aren't clicking on this listing as much. So maybe I want to talk about how I can get some more exposure for this specific listing. So that's something that's helpful, but also just to just keep, in the loop of how your listings doing on homes.com, how your profile is doing on homes.com. So that's all the professional tools. Again, everything we went through today, you all have access to right now at your fingertips to log in and start utilizing Homes Pro. You have all of that great content to utilize in there, your dashboards in there. So definitely take the time to do that. We do have it's a quick start guide. I'll provide the link. I'll send it to you, Joanna, and you can go in and it's a great way to, kind of walk through everything we did today. So if you need something kind of tangible to look at and say, okay, how do I download the app or how do I set up my profile? We have a great guide to do that, that walks you through that. So the next thing I want to just talk a little bit about before we wrap up here and maybe answer any questions that anyone might have, but is the homes.com membership. So again, this is just a completely different thing. If you do want to gain some more exposure, we have this product available to you all, just to kind of, amplify your brand, your listings, things like that. And if anyone's interested in this, let me know. You can write in your name on our chat box here and I can have a rep follow up with you. But, the more exposure you get, obviously, the more leads that are going to come out of that. So we have seen a lot of the listings that are part of that homes.com membership are not on the market as long. Agents are getting more leads, things like that. So that happens with the exposure. So we're seeing a lot of that happen as a result of agents who sign up for the memberships. But some of the things that we do to help you gain more exposure is one thing is that for your listings, for example, we can show your listings on our content pages. So for example, it's going to show up on our neighborhood pages. You're going to see listings in the area, or on the school pages, you'll see it there as a listing in the area in that school district. We also have our retargeting tools. And I'm talking ahead of my slides here. So I'm going to back up our Matterports. This is something that we have recently acquired as Matterport. I don't know if you saw that in the news here, but we're still working through what this looks like as part of our products. But one of the things that we did launch for it is that it's part of our homes.com membership. So if you have a membership, you're going to get those 3D tours as part of that. So again, a rep can talk with you a little bit about this more in depth, but every listing that you have, you'll have a 3D tour on that because we have Matterport tours available. But we are, showing you're going to show up first. So with the memberships, as you can see here for the agents at the top here, they're part of the membership. So their names are a little bit more bolded or highlighted, and they're showing up a little bit higher. So you're going to be shown first. So agents or clients can easily click onto your profile. Same thing with listings; they're going to be ranked higher. And then we just have a whole enhanced bio and that's available to you to really expose your brand. We also have retargeting. So this is a big piece of it too, is that these are things that we know work within marketing, and the retargeting tool is very powerful. So I'm sure we've all been there before when we're on a website and we look at, for example, shoes or something. And then when we go to another website, those pair of shoes are following us. And it can be creepy sometimes, but it can also be very powerful. And now we can't stop thinking about those shoes. And then we go back and end up buying them. So same thing with your profiles and your listings. So we have this retargeting tool. So if a consumer clicks on your listing and they look at the listing and then they leave the homes.com and they go to another website, that listing is going to follow them. Same thing with your profile. If they click and look at your profile, then they leave and go to another site, your profile is going to follow them. So these retargeting tools that we know work is a big part of our membership and a way to expose your listings, expose your brand. So again, that's just if you want to create some more exposure, but everything else is available to you all at no cost. If you are interested in our memberships, definitely let me know and I can have someone follow up with you. But everything else, we just want you guys to start using and collaborating, working with your clients, accepting those leads that are coming to you from homes.com. And I hope you all learned a little bit something new today. So thank you so much. I don't know if we have any questions that you want me to address, but that's all I have for you all today.
That was wonderful. It's like an expanded version of what we saw in Orlando. There's even
Thanks.
more out there than we knew. So we don't have anything in the Q&A, but I'll give them like a couple
Okay.
of seconds. If you guys have any questions for Caitlin, just use that Q&A button there at the bottom, not the chat button, but the Q&A button. But that was awesome. Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, I'll follow up with some great resources. I'll share it with you. And if you want to share with anyone on the webinar today, but we have our agent support tool that's great to utilize as you're learning these different features. You can, we have some videos in there that you can watch. And then again, our quick start guide. So I'll share that with you. Just some great, training resources and things available to y'all to help you learn, all these great features in there.
Perfect. And we've got a brand new website. So we've been building up like our resources page. We'll add it in there. So
Perfect.
that people can regularly find it and add it on the dashboard. Because it's like I said, it's a
Awesome.
great tool to add to the tool belt. And we'll put that out there for everybody. But it looks like we've got new questions. You covered everything. So thank
Okay.
you so much for joining us for MLS Monday.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you all have a great week. And yeah, I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye, everyone.